You can develop traits.
Yeah.
The one thing that you can't develop is work ethic.
Work ethic.
If you have work ethic, that means if you're going to outwork anybody, you're fine. You can learn anything else.
All right, guys, my name is Julian Castle, and I'm with the Real Estate Investors Group. Today, I have Sal Shakir from All In Nation, and we're going to be talking about his story and how he got to where he's at right now, and a little bit of takeaways on how he got there. So, hi, Sal. How you doing today?
Good. How are you, Julian?
I'm good. So, I want to talk a little bit about your journey. You know, what were you doing before you got into real estate? Can you give me your origin story?
Absolutely. First and foremost, thank you for having me over here.
Absolutely.
I know this came out of nowhere, but I was actually driving to California on a trip, and that's when we talked. So I'm grateful for that opportunity.
Yeah.
You want to hear about my background story, like way back?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's, you're doing this right now, and before that, you were doing something else. So I kind of want to hear, like, what is that you started doing?
Well, I mean, my origins, I'm a Catholic from Iraq, so we're immigrants. My family are immigrants to come to the United States. So we ran away from prosecution, and that was our only way out, is to leave there and come to the United States. So the journey didn't start to be a business entrepreneur. The journey started just to survive and to leave the prosecution. So, but as soon as we came here, life here is, we all think like life is, money grows on trees in the United States and it's rainbows and butterflies. And the reality is far from it. But we all have relatives that, when we were back home, we had relatives that lived in the United States, and we're like, oh, they lived a life because they lived in the United States. No one really realized that, how hard it is, to live financially free in here. And that's what happened. We actually failed financially, and my dad felt pretty much like he failed his family. And I've seen my dad cry twice. First time when my uncle passed, and that was the second time I seen my dad cry, because he felt like he failed financially. And that moment is when I decided, like, I'll do whatever it takes to make sure that my family's never in this situation ever again. And I was still in high school back then, and my journey started there to be an entrepreneur. So I just started to sell and offer my service. I worked in plumbing. I painted fences, knocked on doors to paint fences, worked in laundromats, flipped cars, then ended up somehow working with the U.S. military to help train the U.S. military before you get deployed to the Middle East. That was a very, very interesting time of my life. And yeah, it was pretty interesting. It was fun. But fast forward, I opened up a car dealership. I had a wholesale car business, wholesaling cars, and I ended up opening up a retail lot. And that was going pretty well. Then we bought a second lot, and there was a second dealership. And I decided that I want to do something else. So I left. I started doing real estate, and I started to slowly pull away from the car dealership. I sold one of the car dealerships, kept all the money within the dealership because it was with my family. So paid off my parents' mortgage, paid off all their credit cards, and kind of gave them dealership with the assets, the cars, the money, and everything in it, and just segue into the real estate. Yeah. And fast forward, it was a blessing. I mean, I felt like my dad was crying because he felt like he failed financially. Plus the house, they were losing the house. Yeah. And to me, I wanted to make sure that they were taken care of. And obviously, I urge you, if you can afford to do something for your parents like that, it doesn't have to be a house, or it could be a credit card. Just take care of them. This means the world to them. They'll never forget it. And I was blessed enough to be able to do that.
That's a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. But fast forward, we started our real estate company, and then one company after another, and here we are.
Nice. So that's kind of a great origin story. And so, can you tell us a little bit about where you are where you're at, in the sense of, do you have what kind of businesses you run now? Kind of like,
So we're in, obviously we're in real estate. We have a marketing agency. We have call centers. We have softwares and data programs. We have a consultancy company and slash events called All In Nation. We have a medical company.
I wasn't expecting that.
What's that?
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, we're a little bit diversified in some sectors. So yeah.
That's great. And so let me ask you, when did you, so that belief change of like, I have to make it to be successful was when you saw your dad crying, you know?
Absolutely.
That, and so what was that? Like, what did you have before, you know, like that you had then at that moment that you realized that you discovered that was the change of like trajectory for you?
I really can't pinpoint it coming to the United States, but I can go back to when I was in Iraq. My dad had a company that maintained the generators for the U.S. military and for the chow halls, for the kitchens, pretty much. So I started pretty young. I was helping my dad, you know, loading up and putting oil, and then helping him with the kind of office stuff, writing emails, putting estimates together, and started pretty early on. I was 11 years old or so, 10 years old. And I think that's when really I became a responsible human being, helping my dad, right?
Yeah.
But the pivotal point, I think it was when I came to the United States and I saw that we're failing financially and how much stress is bringing to my parents.
Yeah.
And that was the one where I decided to go deeper into that, because my parents always wanted me to go to college.
Yeah.
I didn't go to college. I told them, hey, I'm going to go work, but I'll always go back. I'll go back to college and finish.
Yeah.
I'm 34 and I still yet to go back to college. So yeah, and they're grateful for it too. They're not complaining. But yeah, I think that's the pivotal moment in my life where I had to make a change. I had to make a decision.
That's amazing. And tell us kind of what traits did you have maybe in Iraq, or like were you raised a certain way where like you had developed some traits from your upbringing, or did you develop mostly those traits that you really got you to success where you are now after that happened? Like, can you tell us something about those traits?
That's a great question, by the way, but traits can come and go. You can develop traits.
Yeah.
The one thing that you can't develop is work ethics.
Work ethic.
If you have work ethic, that means if you're going to outwork anybody, you're fine. You can learn anything else once you set your mind to it. And
yeah,
I think that was if you want to call that a trait, then yeah, that's the trait. I always outworked everybody. I'm not scared of working. And that gave us an edge. Back in the day, I would work day and night. And when I had no work to do, I found something else to do. And my break time, there was no break time. And the break time is where you find what's next. What are you going to do next to make money?
Yeah.
And failed forward.
Yeah. So that was that work ethic you had, you know, and you always used it when you were using, you know, when you were doing the car dealership, and then you were doing the real estate businesses, and, you know, how you diversified now, you always had that work ethic there.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's the best thing you can have. You stay if you have work ethics, you're going to stay consistent in whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Meaning it doesn't have to be the same industry, but you're consistent in putting the amount of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one can take that away.
Yeah, that makes sense. And kind of what is the skills? So I'm sure you developed some skills that really took you there. You know, I'd say like management or something like that. What are some skills that you developed or you had to learn in order to get to where you are?
Man, there's so much. The entrepreneurship, if somebody told me entrepreneurship was like this, I would have laughed. I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And it looks completely different what it was before. Like now it's completely different. And I'll get to that, what it looks like for me now. But I had to be very hands-on. I consider myself good in operations. So I'm an operations guy, you know.
Yeah.
And hands-on and systematic. So I like to put a system in anything that I do.
Yeah.
And that's where it came for data and softwares. We have softwares that we built for real estate industry, and other industries as well. And because we automated so much in our businesses that other people start, like friends, it wasn't even a service to offer. It was just a service for us. and a friend says, can I use that? You've done a good job. And I give them that. And then somebody else and somebody else, somebody else. And before you know it, you have too many people asking you to do it for them. You open up a business. So I think that was our edge. And my business partner, Carlos Reyes, he's a great networker. So I would work the back end operations and being innovative. And he would work the front end, right? The relationships. Yeah. And I think it was a great, it's always been a great way to, it's like a nucleus reaction, you know.
Gotcha.
He's good at the things I'm not, and I'm good at the things that he's not. And it always met in the middle.
Yeah.
But yeah, just being systematic and always putting the right steps and processes, that was back then.
Yeah.
Now things are completely different. Now I think leadership is one of the strong suits that I have is I empower the people that work with us and, you know, let them fail forward. And if they have a question, come back. And the way we have that structured now, so Carlos and I, we're the executive board directors. Mm-hmm. And then we have a CEO that he's part of the board as well, part of the board of advisors.
Yeah.
And under that, we have our departments. So everything is departmentized now. We have an admin department, HR. We have a finance department. We have marketing. We have a sales department. And those have leaders in it. And then under that, we have the business unit managers. So every business has it. So it kind of just, it goes all the way up. So I'm not even in the day-to-day except the big decision-making stuff.
Gotcha. That's a big deal. And so I want to touch on this partnership you have with Carlos Reyes. I feel like that has been a big impact in the trajectory that you both have gotten. And so how did you pick Carlos Reyes as a partner, or how did that come about?
So I was in the car industry. I opened up my retail lot back in 2013. And Carlos back in the day was working at a place called Cash One Title Loan. So he was in charge of the motor vehicle department where they switch titles and, you know, just the paperwork for the titles.
Yeah.
For the cars. But it's a title loan place. So people cash out. You have a car, you get a loan, and they kind of assign the title to them, right? So it's like collateral. But part of that they had that department. What it did, it's pretty much for the public as well. You can transfer title work. And he was marketing toward the dealerships in there. And one of the dealerships was mine. And we just became friends. Became friends for a year, partied. And one day I asked him, I said, Carlos, what are you doing on Tuesday? He said, I'm working, but I can take a day off. What's going on? I said, let's go to the auction. So we go to the auction. I pick a car. I'm like, this is going to be your car. Buy it, and you're going to be able to flip it. We bought that car, $2,500. He was able to flip it for him, not for me. I just wanted him to. I wanted him to make some money because he was like flipping hats and like he was a hustler and he was my friend. Yeah. And at that point, he flipped that car in 2 days and sold for $5,000.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wanted somebody like that as a business partner.
Yeah.
So we were saying, why don't we go into business together? And we've had all kind of crazy ideas, and real estate was one of them.
Yeah.
And then the real estate journey started there, and that's how we met. Obviously, we met as friends. We met as he was trying to help me with the paperwork, and we became friends. We actually tried. That's the one thing that the one thing I want to look for a partner. We actually served each other the same minute we met. As soon as I met him, he said, "Look, you don't know how to do this retail paperwork. I'll help you. I'll help you do it." At the same time, I said, whose car is outside, that black car? He said, it's mine. I said, hey, it's faded. Let me paint it for you for free. And he said, well, somebody owes me a favor. If they don't do it, then you do it for me. But instantly, within a few minutes of meeting, we try to serve each other. And I think that's what made the partnership the right partnership from the get-go. Even though we weren't partners when we first met, it took us a long time. Yeah. We started on the right path.
That's a great synergy from start. For you guys to be partners. So that's amazing. And wow. And so he's more the marketing guy, right? He's like, I guess you call him like acquisitions, right? Like
he's like a networker. Acquisition, yes. I'm more of when we did real estate back in the day, he was acquisition. I was doing disposition, marketing, and all that stuff.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. And okay, that's cool. And so tell me, where are you at right now? Like, you know, in terms of like you're saying like you're now into leadership now. Before you were more into systems and processes.
Operations.
in operations?
Operations. Yeah, I was pretty much all operations, from the finance department to marketing, to disposition, to transaction coordination, which you can call support department, and and the IT department, and the R&D department when it comes to like innovative systems.
Yeah.
So that was my role. Obviously, in a like fractionalized in between doing 1,000 things at one, because we were a small company. It started Carlos and I only.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now that leadership is like the major part of your of what you do.
I consider myself I'm a founder and executive board member. That's my role.
And so what is it that you do nowadays to like you know, inspire leaders inside your company?
Yes.
and kind of make those big decisions as you mentioned?
I mean, obviously it's inspiring. That's 100%. We bring people, we groom them up, or we bring high caliber people. In our company, we have great salaries. I don't think other real estate companies pay what we pay. We have full benefits. We don't pay 50% benefit. We pay 100% of medical benefits. We have dental, vision. We have profit margin, like profit sharing. We take care of our people here, and that's part of why we have a great organization, because we take care of the people. But the day-to-day is pretty much meetings. Like, that's why I said, if somebody told me what entrepreneurships look like, I guarantee you it's going to be different the next year and the next year and next year. But you know, and just meetings that you make decisions. We have strategy, quarterly strategy meetings. Every day I probably have 4 to 5 to 6 meetings sometimes even more. And they're not just meeting, oh yeah, what do we do with this? No, they're like, you know, they're budget meeting, top line, bottom line budget meetings. They're strategy meeting. There's just how we can move the company forward. And we meet with other companies that they want to become a part of our company, because what we do as well is we offer, just besides the services that we offer here, because we're pretty much a business solution for other businesses. So somebody wants to get data, they use us. Somebody wants systems, they use us. They want call centers, they use us. They want marketing, they use us. But beyond that, everybody has those services. Beyond that is we became an organization that has departments that are so set where we plug into their organization. So let's say you're a company that does $500,000 or $1 million a year.
Yeah.
And you want to take it to make $5 million a year or $10 million a year. It's going to take you time to build up to that. You have to build departments. You have to build a track record. You have to become accredited and all that stuff. And what we do is we plug into an organization and we become a minority shareholder or partner. And then they get to utilize everything we have: our legal department, our finance department, our marketing department, our sales department. And that's pretty much what we start. That was the next level for us, at least, to level up, where we become partners in I don't know how many companies because of the departments that we put together in the foundation.
Gotcha. So you become a minority stakeholder in those companies and help them grow, you know, with your processes.
We triple, quadruple, and for something that would take somebody 10 years to build. So we shave off that 10 years instantly.
Gotcha. Yeah, because you've been there, you've done that, so you can definitely take them to the right one where they want to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's not knowledge, because knowledge, everybody can obtain knowledge. I'm talking about like the brick and mortar, that to hire and put all those things as steps together. Most people lose a lot of money to learn that if they get there. Some people don't even get that. After 2 or 3 years, they have to go out of business, and we become kind of the backbone to their businesses.
Makes sense. And so we spoke about a little bit about the belief, like, you know, someone has to have, who's listening in the audience, someone has to have that belief change of like, I got to make it happen. And
absolutely.
And that is different from everybody. For you, it was seeing your dad cry and saying, and seeing that he, you know, he thought of himself as a financial, you know,
he felt like he failed financially. Yes.
Yeah, he failed financially. And then obviously the trait that you say is the one that delivers all the success is the work ethic, which means you got to have that work ethic from, you know, when you start, because whatever you choose, you got to be able to do it consistently and get better at it, right? And not quit, right?
Absolutely. Well, I guess when I was young, I was not So my ignorance was I've always talked about this. I think me being ignorant was the best thing that happened to me. And I'll explain what I mean.
Yeah.
Had I known that when I started the car, I was losing for a couple of years, I should have given up. Like my more educated self today would have told my younger self, hey, that didn't work. Go try something else.
Yeah.
But because I was so ignorant, I said, if somebody can do it, I could do it better.
Yeah.
Just somebody was doing the cars and they were successful. That means I could do it. I could do it and I could do it better. So
Yeah.
my own ignorance helped me get here.
Yeah.
But it's funny how it works, because now I have more information. It's almost like a kid. When you're young, you want to just play and laugh and enjoy your time. But when you get hurt once, you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna be more reserved. I'm not gonna do this in case I get hurt, right? So in business, that's kind of the same thing. You have to do it when you're young, because you can take the blows. You can. But when you're older, you can't do that, because now you're more reserved. So I think that was a blessing that I had. And me being an immigrant, I think that's, some people, that's not the full story. My dad was shot. My brother and I almost got kidnapped, and it was bad times.
Wow.
And not to get into that story, but people talk about, oh my God, look at the what you overcame. Actually, no. It was easy for me to be successful. It's probably harder for somebody that was born here to be successful, because I knew what I didn't want to go back to. I don't want to go back to Iraq. I don't want to go back to being shot at.
Yeah.
Right. So I knew, like, there was nothing else for me. That was my standard. But for somebody who's born here, I know I can go to, if I was born here, I can go to the hospital if I need. I don't need money to go to the hospital. The government can take care of that.
Yeah.
I don't need to work. I mean, I'm sure there's welfare and there's food stamps or whatever there is, right?
Yeah.
So for somebody to be successful here, it's a lot harder, because they have the luxury of not doing it.
Yeah.
So mentally, I think it was easier for me to pursue what I pursue. It's just a point of view, I guess.
Yeah, I totally see. Yeah, so you coming from Iraq and going through some trouble there, giving you the mental toughness to be able to make it happen here in the United States, given that a lot of people here have a lot of luxuries. Like, yes, the government will take care of you if you don't do anything, and they will take care.
It is harder for somebody to become successful here, because they have to overcome the mental aspect. They have to really want to do it, and then execute. And executing that is not even easy, because you're going to have a lot of setbacks, and you might have to quit, or you might think of quitting a few times.
Yeah. And so I want to segue into, you have All In Nation, right? And this is kind of like a place where you teach other people how to invest. Is that right? Or like you coach them?
Yeah. So we started in real estate, and I don't know if you know the history, but under All In, we have some of the renowned names in the real estate industry that graduated from the All In programs. And I couldn't be prouder than that. I think that was the best way of serving, paying it forward and serving our way through. And I couldn't be more blessed to say that. However, we did transition to be more of a business all around education rather than just investing. Even though we're heavy in the investing, and we still hold workshops for that, but we've kind of moved to the next step where we educate about all kind of businesses, because we have all kind of businesses. We've bought and sold some businesses. We've consolidated. We've been in so many industries. We have our hands in so many different industries where we can, that insight is very helpful for other industries. I mean, our CEO of the company used to be a CEO for a company that was one of the companies of Anheuser-Busch, even though right now they're not in the best image because of what's happening with them. But the guy has been a CEO since 97. And that experience alone is worth something.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And for someone that for example, we talked about that creating that mental toughness in people, right? For the listener who perhaps is, kind of in the I want to preneur kind of situation, like they just haven't found their biggest why yet, or like the one that actually makes a difference in their life. Is there anything that you, like a quick question or that you ask, people, when you were coaching them, that allow them to unlock that purpose for doing bigger things?
When we first started our first event, we had people were paying us $5,000 for that event, and
Yeah.
we actually refunded some people money because we didn't think they were the right fit for that with that information. That's how crazy it was. We've actually, at the first event and second event, we refunded, I think there was 5 people or 6 people total. And I mean, $5,000 was a lot of money, right? But we still did that because we knew that information in the wrong hands was not good. And that's always kind of been us. We want the right people. So if there are good people and the right people, obviously this is good. But the next thing is that we need people who are committed. If you are committed, there is nothing can stop you. And unfortunately, nowadays, everybody just wants to grab a few information here and there, try it out. And if it doesn't work, they move on to the next thing. They want to go one gold rush after the next gold rush if it doesn't work, because they see other people doing it and everybody's talking about it on social media. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. If you want to be successful, you have to be consistent. And consistency doesn't mean that you're going to keep hopping around from one thing to another. You have to see it through. You're in real estate, cold calling. If you cold call for a month and you stop, it's not going to work. Because to make a deal happen in cold calling, you need at least 60 to 90 days to convert.
Yeah.
Well, that's an example. That's a good example in business. You have to see things through. You have to let it. You have to let the time pass to make sure that it's working or not just try and think it didn't work and move on to the next thing. And you can learn all the information you want, the secret sauce or whatever. You go to events and all kind of workshops or events or consultancy. But if you're not willing to put the work, nothing is. I don't care how rich you are. You can hire somebody and say, oh, I'm going to pay this person to run it for me. They're not going to do the same, as good of a job as you are, especially starting out.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So that commitment is the piece that people need to understand, because it won't be easy, but they'll get it over time. And just how you were kind of, ignorant in the beginning, and and you thought I could do better than that person, and you honestly didn't see all the work that it would take and all the failure that you would have to endure in order to get to that part where you're actually being
to the next level. Yeah, it's an elevator. Some people reach a certain level and they get off. Some people just want to take the elevator all the way up.
Yeah.
And motivation and commitment is 2 different things, by the way. A lot of people can be motivated. I can be motivated. Yeah, I'm going to do this and this, and yeah, I feel good, and let's do it. But motivation fades. Commitment doesn't. When you're committed, you wake up in the morning, you don't want to go to the gym. And guess what? If you're committed, you're going to go to the gym. You can start motivated. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to be in the best shape of my life. You're going to do like that. First day, second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day. Then that's not motivation anymore. If you continue to do it, that's a commitment.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes to be successful in life. I mean, if you're not evolving, you are dissolving. And you have to commit to evolving. Yeah. Whether it's business or life or personal life. A lot of people are successful and you can have all the money in the world, but your personal life is not aligning, then you're not successful. And there is a saying they say is you can never outrun the person you are. Meaning is that if your personal life is poor, I'm not saying poor money wise, I'm poor like personal life, you don't take care of yourself, your success will always be lower. It's going to go as high as your personal success. So they go hand in hand. And Carlos and I and the company, we truly believe that you can have it all around. You're not just succeeding monetary wise, money wise. You succeed as a family man, as a mom, as a husband, as a father, for taking care of yourself, mind and body and spirit.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I'm sure you trickle down your employees, right? Like to every single one of your team members. And so Sal, right now where you stand, do you have a big real estate portfolio, or is more of what you own and like your net worth, or where you come, your money, is it in the businesses that you get a minority stake and you grow? Like what is like kind of like how, are you diversified? Are you just focused on some areas?
We're definitely diversified. So the companies I mentioned earlier, they're our own companies. We're not minority shares. The minority shareholders we have, I think now it's 20 some companies. So those are all kind of companies. but I invest in the business heavily. So we don't really take the money and splurge like most people. We reinvest. We build. We have an R&D. So we're always research and development. We're putting money into different things. We're starting new like departments. We're growing it. We're bringing new ideas. We're innovating in technology. So whatever money that we get, we usually dump it back in the business or invest in it. And we invest in other companies as well. So we've invested in some companies where we put money in it and we just become a money partner in it. They don't use our services, or we just become a money partner. We actually invested in a company that it's called Puppies and Coffee. It's coffee and it's a coffee company, but the proceeds go to saving puppies.
Oh, that's nice.
So it has a good cost to it.
Has a good cost, yeah.
And most of our companies have really good causes. Like the medical company that we have, we buy test strips, diabetic test strips, and most of those people selling a box or two of test strips, they can turn on the power with that. They can feed their kids with that. So that business has a good cause behind it too.
Gotcha. And so is that something you incorporate in all your businesses now? You always have a cause that you're giving back to?
I mean, not. I wouldn't say all of them, but ideally we do. We want to start a nonprofit, and we help people in all kind of situations, and here in our own backyard.
Yeah.
And then God willing, we can go overseas as well and help.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so for anyone that's looking to get in contact with you or get in contact, with one of your businesses that wants to, potentially work with you, where do they go? What's the best way?
So my IG or Facebook, Sal Shakir, SalShakir, or you can go on All In Nation website and see more details over there.
Yeah. And that's great. Do you have any event coming up where people, could see you live or something like that?
We're thinking of having our big event sometime in August, or I'm not August, October or November. But it's still yet to we don't know the date yet.
Gotcha. And that's going to be with All In Nation, or?
Correct. Called All In Freedom. Yeah.
Gotcha. Amazing. And okay, that's great. And if you wanted to give someone a word of advice, who's starting out, we have a lot of new members in our group. Usually that's why they come. Our group has a lot of really advanced people that answer questions to the newbies. And what would you say that would be a valuable thing for them to go through?
I would say stop chasing the shiny object syndrome and stick to it. Stick to that one thing. Real estate can change your life. I know it changed mine, and it changed my family's life. And if you stick to it, you will succeed. The only problem is that not a lot of people will stick to it. 9 out of 10 people will not.
Gotcha.
Just be that one percenter.
Yeah. And let's talk about a little bit about volume, because you mentioned like you have to cold call, for example, 3 to 6 months to get some kind of result from that. When someone's starting out and maybe they're dedicating 5 hours or 10 hours of it, a week or something, I want to talk about volume in terms of like, what does it actually take? Like how many reps do you have to do in order to get good at something? Because a lot of people don't know what it is to be really good at something. And so what would you say is the reps that it takes to get to be, good at something where you actually see results and you become a master, have mastery?
I mean, not everybody's going to be a master at something if that's not their thing. If they don't fall in love with it, if they don't like it, they're not going to be good at it. It's just as simple as that. So I wouldn't want to say that you're going to be a master at something if you're going to keep doing it, because you might hate it. What I suggest is do the things that you're good at and expand on it. And if the stuff that you're not good at, leave for somebody else. But however, I think cold calling is a great start, because cold calling requires you talking to people, and is going to build that character where you're going to take no's. You're going to be okay with people hanging up and cursing at you. Once you're okay with that, you're ready for the next phase, and no one can take that away from you. Now you built that mental toughness to go against a seller and say, hey, I want to buy your house in person. It doesn't have to be over the phone, but it's easy to do over the phone. and get over that objective, now you can do it in person. So I think it's a great way to start investing in real estate.
Gotcha. And taking it a little bit at high level now, you know, I have a belief that, you know, everybody has the same 24 hours in a day. And so we have some people that are more successful than other people. And so it all comes down to the activities that they do. You know, they're focusing on high leverage activities, as some people will be focusing on low leverage activities. So what are some of those high leverage activities in your life that you've seen that actually yield a big outcome?
Well, it won't be fair to answer that for as where I stand today. Let's talk about when you first start.
Yeah.
Money making activities. That's the best thing you can do. What is going to lead to making money directly, instantly? Not something that's going to take 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or a year from now, and not money management activities. Money producing activities is the main thing I go after. So acquisition is money making activities.
Yeah.
That's something. Transaction coordination and disposition follows that. Without marketing and sales, there's nothing. It starts with there.
Yeah.
And marketing is always senior to sales. Marketing starts before sales.
Yeah.
So those are money making activities in my book. That's when I first started. Now today it's completely different. Now money making activities when we meet and we have a strategy day, how we're going to move the company forward. What sector are we going to go after? What moves are we going to do to expand? To advance our organization forward. Those to me are money making activities, at least in today's where my company stands today. So Carlos and myself, our CEO, go in the boardroom and we bring what are we going to do next, and then we leave it on our managers, like the business unit manager. They have to come every month and show us the results they produced. Not just that, they have to bring ideas how we can advance forward, what they can do for the company, and then obviously we take that up.
Yeah, that's amazing. Got it. I think that's very clear to people who focus on money generating activities. Whatever gets you the money quickest, right?
Absolutely. Don't get caught up with creating an LLC and this and that. It's important, but I flipped the first few houses under my name. I was in an LLC. That's like, don't worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
Go after the money first. That stuff will happen. It will eventually happen.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. And so I think this is a great place to end the conversation. So if you want to visit Sal and get to learn more about him, go to Sal Shakir and also visit allinnation.com and send him a DM if this was valuable to you. And, you know, I really appreciate Sal for coming, you know, on this podcast. And I hope to have him in the future, you know, as he progresses and can add more value in different ways. So I appreciate you, Sal. And
I appreciate you. Thank you, Julian. And thank you to the group for your time.
Thank you. All right. Take care.
Thank you.